Bienvenidos, welcome. Well, Soy Gitano is your new EP. Tell me, which was the concept, the influences that you wanted to capture on this new record? I know you have a lot of influence by flamenco.
Yeah, I mean, we do, flamenco is a very fundamental part of what we do, mixed in with dance music. But for this album, we wanted to also capture kind of like the live essence of our sound. So we tracked a lot in the studio with our band, and we wanted to get that energy, you know, where it's not just produced by us. I mean, we did produce it, but at the same time, it's the feel that we get when we're playing live, which really, I think, complements this album, this music, and this song.
Great. Sometimes the most unexpected combinations seems to be also some of the most interesting. How do you get this idea to combine these genres and styles so diverse, like flamenco, electronica, disco?
I think, well, first of all, we became friends first. So, and we both come from different musical backgrounds. Bahagino from classical guitar, flamenco, me from the dance world, kind of the French disco house type of production. And so I think, you know, because our personalities mesh well and we have similar tastes in other things beyond music, that it was very easy for us to come up with this idea. We both felt like it would be really cool to mix our styles. And I think part of the reason why it works for us is because we both have studied the traditions of these styles. You know, I produced electronic music, live instruments for many years. Bahagi studied in Spain, studied flamenco. So there was a real understanding of the genres. So when we put it together, we weren't trying to just use a cheap version of it. We were trying to incorporate it in a tasteful way.
For the people who maybe has not been into the project yet, I understand Paco Versailles is born during a tour of capital cities. ¿Cómo fue ese encuentro? ¿Cómo was this encounter?
Well, I was asked to play some shows with capital cities, and we did that in 2016. And me and Ryan, you know, we just became really good friends, and we always spent time together getting coffee and talking about music and art, food, different things, you know. And actually, after, I would say it was like 2019, you know, early 2019, Ryan called me up and said that he was throwing these parties, and it would be a great platform for us to test out this idea that we had, which was to combine what he does, you know, making dance and electronic music and combining it with the flamenco guitar. So we literally just wrote 3 songs in like a week, trying to have some material to play, just for some, you know, like live performances. And it went over so well that, you know, we just kept going. We gave ourselves the name, and it just kind of took off. And then we released our first track in June, and about 8 months later, we got hit with the pandemic. So
yeah, sure. And that's another thing I would like to ask, because I would like to not talk about the pandemic anymore, but in this case, you started to release music during all this process. Do you consider the pandemic paused the project, or it was like an advantage to develop more music?
That's a very good question. I think it's hard to know exactly because you can't go back and change how things happen, but I think it had its positives and its negatives. On the positive side, we did get in the studio and we made a lot of music, so I think we built a fan base on a worldwide stage because we were putting it out on the internet. Also, I think we took time to practice our craft, you know, like singing. I got to practice singing in a way that I never would have done before. But on the negative side, obviously, playing live in front of an audience, I think, is the most amazing part about doing music, and that's why we do it, because we want to perform for people. So not being able to make that connection with the audience was very difficult for us, and it makes it very hard, I think, to truly grow our type of project. So now that we can play live, everything's better.
Great. And as we mentioned before, for this album has a lot of influence by flamenco. Even your name, Paco, comes from Paco Versailles.
Yeah.
And in this new EP, Soy Gitano, is some kind of to pay tribute to Camarón de la Isla. So I would like to know why, in this case, Camarón de la Isla specifically, why you choose this song, why you choose him to be part of this tribute in this EP.
Well, I mean, Camarón de la Isla is, you know, he's like a saint in the flamenco culture, and that world he's the biggest singer, you know, and then one of the biggest artists to contribute and revolutionize and change flamenco music and bring it to where it is now. And I've been listening to him since I was born, you know, so it's very like dear to me. But at the same time, I think we were in the studio and I played Soy Gitano for Ryan, and we both just felt like, you know, that the chorus was just so captivating, and we felt like we can do something with that chorus and kind of write something around it, you know. And it was our way of paying tribute to not just Camarón but also flamenco culture.
And this is your first time as Paco Versailles here in Mexico, and you will be giving not only one but two shows. So did you expect this response from the Mexican audience?
No, well, we had an idea in our heads because we knew that we had listeners in Mexico City, because you can go on Spotify and you can see all your numbers. But whenever you book a show, you never know exactly how it's going to translate into ticket sales. So we were very pleasantly surprised when we decided, okay, let's start with one night, see how it sells, and then we'll add a second night. And the first show sold out in like 2 weeks. So we added a second. So it's really exciting to see that happening. And you know, we've been down here meeting interesting people. We want to do a lot more shows and festivals in Mexico, so it's exciting.
This is not your first experience with the Mexican audience, so what are your expectations for these two shows? It will be a very intimate stage, so what are your expectations?
Well, I think I really like intimate shows actually, because there's a lot of connection. There's just like an energy in a small room that you don't get at a festival, and everybody is coming there to see you too. So I think it's gonna be a total party, dance party. It's gonna be very exciting. What are you expecting?
Yeah, the same. I think we're in the, you know, mindset that we're gonna play our asses off and you know, play like it's our last show, like we always do. We kind of just try to bring everything we have and not hold back, and I think the audience is gonna be there with us, so it's gonna be a mutual, you know,